My wife's pregnancy test fell out of her cardigan pocket in our garage. My younger brother's apartment key fell out right after it. I need you to understand something. I'd gone out there for folding chairs. That's it. 28 people crammed into our dining room. Claire's entire family, here for the weekend before her parents' 50th anniversary party tomorrow. Thanksgiving was in 5 days. The house smelled like turkey and her mother's perfume, and too many voices talking over each other. "Nathan, honey, we need more chairs," Claire had called from the kitchen, and I'd volunteered immediately because I'm a high school football coach and history teacher, which means I'm very good at escaping rooms full of people when I need 60 seconds of quiet. The garage was cold. November in Asheville bites, even inside. I reached for the folding chairs stacked against the back wall, and that's when I saw it. Claire's green cardigan, draped over my workbench. She wasn't wearing green at dinner, she was wearing gray. I know because I'd watched her set the table an hour ago. Her gray cardigan sleeves pushed up to her elbows as she arranged Grandma Patty's good china. I picked up the green one, it was still warm. The pregnancy test fell out of the pocket first. White and pink plastic, 2 dark lines in the window, unmistakable. Then the key. Silver, with a blue rubber grip I recognized immediately because I'd given it to him. Cole's apartment key, the apartment I paid $950 a month for. My younger brother, the one I raised after our mother died when I was 18 and he was 10. The test clattered onto the concrete floor. My hands weren't working right. On the floor near the workbench, something else. Bronze catching the overhead light. I bent down. Cole's 3-year sobriety chip. The medallion was heavy in my palm. I could feel the engraving under my thumb. 3 years. I'd given this to him 2 months ago, August 14th, at his NA meeting. I'd stood in a church basement full of strangers and watched my little brother accept this chip, and I'd cried because I'd spent 20 years terrified he'd die like Mom did. He never takes it off. He wears it on a chain around his neck. It was on my garage floor, which meant he'd been here recently. I looked at the workbench again, at the cardigan, at the pregnancy test, at the key. My hands started shaking so badly I had to set the chip down before I dropped it. I reached for the edge of the workbench to steady myself. That's when I saw it on the shelf where we keep the gardening gloves. Claire's iPad, screen still lit. The message notification was right there. Contact name, Cole. A heart emoji. My wife had saved my brother's name with a heart emoji. I unlocked the iPad before I could stop myself. The password, I knew it. Dylan's birthday. August 12th, our son, 13 years old. Asleep upstairs right now, probably playing video games in his room while the adults drank wine downstairs. She'd used our son's birthday to hide this. The iPad opened to iMessage, a thread that scrolled back and back and back. 4 months. June 14th, the first message. Can't stop thinking about yesterday. Claire's response. Me neither. He makes me feel alive again. The he was capitalized, like she was talking about God or something, but she was talking about Cole, about my brother. And the message before that, her message, said, Nathan's at practice until 9. Come over at 7. I scrolled. Each swipe made a soft sound in the quiet garage. Swish, swish. Messages piled up like evidence in a trial. I love you. I need you. Tonight, after everyone's asleep, come to the garage. That last one was from this afternoon. 2:17 p.m. They'd been in my garage today, while I was at school teaching American history to juniors, while Dylan was at football practice, while Claire's mother was in our kitchen making stuffing for tomorrow's anniversary dinner. The iPad buzzed in my hand. A new message, coming in real time. Cole, thinking about you. Tonight after everyone sleeps? I stared at those words, my little brother, typing those words to my wife. A voice in my head, the coach voice I use with my players, started listing facts, evidence, timeline, motive. Fact, Claire is pregnant. The test is positive. Fact, she's been with Cole for at least 4 months, maybe longer. Fact, they've been meeting in my garage, my space, where I keep my tools and Dylan's old baseball equipment and the family photos I've hung on the walls because this is my sanctuary. Fact, tomorrow we're celebrating Patty and Michael's 50th wedding anniversary. 50 years of faithful marriage, and I'm supposed to give a speech. Fact, in 5 days we're hosting Thanksgiving for 40 people in this house, at this table. Fact, my son is upstairs, 13 years old, and he worships his Uncle Cole. Follows him around like a puppy every time Cole visits, which is a lot. 3-4 times a week, because I encouraged it, because I wanted Dylan to know his uncle, because family takes care of family. That phrase, I'd said it 1,000 times. When Cole was 17 and got arrested for possession, I'd bailed him out and told the judge, family takes care of family. When Cole was 23 and overdosed, I'd sat in the hospital for 3 days straight and told the doctors, whatever he needs, family takes care of family. When Cole got sober 3 years ago, I'd paid for his apartment, his therapy, his fresh start, because family takes care of family. Claire had been part of that, my partner in saving him. She's a therapist, specializes in addiction counseling. She'd helped Cole find meetings, had coffee with him once a week to talk through his recovery. Once a week turned into twice a week. Twice a week turned into every other day. Every other day turned into this. I scrolled to another message, July 3rd. Claire, your brother is working late again. He doesn't even notice when I'm gone. Cole's response, he's never really been there for either of us, not emotionally, but I see you, Claire, I see you. They'd been talking about me, discussing me, justifying this. My hand went to my chest, to the whistle hanging on its lanyard under my shirt. Fox 40, standard issue coach whistle. I've worn one for 15 years. It's reflex now. When I'm stressed, I touch it. Grounding. The metal was cold through my shirt. From inside the house, I heard laughter. Patty's voice, loud and warm. Nathan, where are those chairs? You building them from scratch out there? More laughter. Claire's voice. He probably got distracted organizing his tools. You know, Nathan? Affectionate, teasing, the voice of a woman who loves her husband. I looked at the iPad in my hand, at the messages, at the lies. Then I looked at the wall, at the family photo hanging there, 8x10 silver frame. Last Christmas, Nathan, Claire, Dylan, Cole. All of us smiling in front of the tree. Dylan in the middle, arms around both me and Cole. Claire laughing at something Cole had just said. That photo was taken December 20th. According to the iPad, the affair started June 14th. So it had been going on for 6 months by Christmas. Half a year? They'd been betraying me when that photo was taken, when we were all smiling, when I'd said to Claire after everyone left that night, this is what matters, right? Family. And she'd kissed me and said, this is everything. The garage door, the one that leads to the house, creaked. I shoved the iPad back on the shelf, grabbed the pregnancy test and key, stuffed them in my pocket, picked up the sobriety chip. Dylan appeared in the doorway. 13, tall for his age, wearing his Asheville High football jersey, number 12, my number when I played. My son. Dad, Grandma's getting worried. She said you've been gone like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, that's all it took. 10 minutes to discover your life is a lie. I closed my fist around the sobriety chip. The chain bit into my palm. Sorry, buddy, got distracted. I forced a smile, grabbed the folding chairs with my free hand. Let's get these inside. Dylan held the door for me. Good kid, polite. I taught him that. As I passed him, he said, Hey Dad, Uncle Cole's been really happy lately. He's over here like all the time now. My foot caught on the door frame. I steadied myself. Yeah? I kept my voice light, normal. That's good. Your uncle's been working hard on his recovery. Yeah, he and Mom talk about it a lot. His recovery and stuff. I looked at my son, at his open, trusting face. They do, huh? Yeah, sometimes I hear them in the garage late at night. I figured they were having therapy sessions or whatever. He shrugged. Uncle Cole says Mom really understands him. The world tilted, not just Claire and Cole, but Dylan had heard them, had noticed, and he'd explained it away because he's 13 and he trusts his mother, trusts his uncle. Come on, I said. My voice sounded strange even to me, hollow. Let's get back before they send a search party. I carried the chairs into the dining room. 28 people, Claire's whole family. Her mother, Patty, at the head of the table, 72 years old, already 3 glasses of wine deep, beaming at everyone. Her father, Michael, beside her, retired Marine, 73, stern face, softened by love. Claire's older sister, Jessica, the one who owns 3 restaurants in town. 2 younger brothers I barely know. Cousins, nephews, nieces. And at the far end of the table, in the seat I'd vacated 10 minutes ago, sitting next to my wife, Cole, 30 years old, my baby brother, sober for 3 years, skinny still, the way addicts stay skinny even after they quit. But healthy looking now, color in his cheeks. He was laughing at something Claire said. As I set up the folding chairs, he looked up. Our eyes met. For just a second, less than a second, something flickered in his face. Guilt? Fear? Then it was gone, and he was smiling. There he is. Thought you got lost in your man cave, brother. Brother. I sat down. Claire touched my arm. You okay, honey? You were gone a while. Her hand. The hand that had touched him. The hand wearing the wedding ring I'd put there 16 years ago. 28 people were watching. I looked at her. At my wife. Mother of my child. The woman I'd built a life with. I'm perfect, I said, the biggest lie I'd ever told. Patty stood, wobbling slightly, wine glass raised. Before we eat, I want to make a toast. Oh, God. Tomorrow, Patty said, voice thick with emotion, Michael and I celebrate 50 years of marriage. 50 years. And you know what makes 50 years possible? She looked around the table. Her eyes landed on me and Claire. It's choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard, even when temptation comes, even when you're tired or angry or hurt. You choose each other. You choose fidelity. You choose loyalty. My hand found the whistle under my shirt, gripped it. And when I look at some of you young couples, Claire and Nathan especially, I see that same commitment, that same love. You remind us what real marriage looks like. Jessica was nodding. Michael was smiling. Dylan was grinning at me. And Claire, like we, were proof that love works. To fidelity, Patty said, raising her glass higher. To choosing each other. To family. Everyone raised their glasses. The sound of glass chiming against glass filled the room. I looked at Cole, then at Claire, then at my son, and I raised my glass. To family, I said. My voice was steady, controlled. The coach voice. The voice that's commanded a football field for 15 years. Family takes care of family. I saw Claire flinch, just barely, a micro expression. Cole was staring at his plate. I brought the glass to my lips, pretended to sip. The wine tasted like poison. Nobody heard the way my voice broke on that last word. Nobody except Claire. She knew that I knew. And we had to sit here surrounded by 28 people and finish dinner. The rest of dinner was a performance. I've coached football for 15 years. I know how to put on a game face, how to stand on a sideline and look calm when you're down by 3 touchdowns with 4 minutes left, how to project confidence you don't feel. But this was different. Every time Claire passed a dish, her hand brushed mine. Every time Cole laughed, I heard it over everyone else. Every time Dylan looked at me with that open, trusting face, I wanted to grab him and run. We got through dessert. Patty's tiramisu. Everyone complimented Claire on it, even though Patty made it. Claire smiled and accepted the praise. She's good at that, being charming, being liked. By 10 o'clock, people were saying their good nights, heading to guest rooms and air mattresses scattered throughout the house. Cole was staying in the guest room down the hall from our bedroom. He hugged me goodnight. "Love you, brother," he said. I felt his arms around me, smelled his cologne, sharp, cheap, the same cologne I'd smelled on Claire's cardigan. "Yeah," I said. I couldn't make my mouth form the words back. Claire and I went to our bedroom. She closed the door, started getting ready for bed like it was a normal night. I sat on the edge of the bed. In my pocket, I could feel the pregnancy test, the key. I'd left the sobriety chip in the garage, but I'd found something else while helping clean up, the ultrasound photo. It had been in my jacket pocket, the jacket hanging in the front closet. I'd grabbed it on my way through, checking for my phone, and felt paper, pulled it out, thermal paper, slick texture, black and white image, grainy, a tiny gestational sac, barely visible. At the top, in Claire's handwriting, "Baby Wade." Dated October 30th, 6 weeks ago. She'd put it in my jacket. Had I been supposed to find it? Was that the plan? Some gentle reveal? But then she'd started the affair in June. This baby, if it was conceived in October, no, the math didn't work. October was 4 months after June. The pregnancy test said 3 to 4 weeks. That meant conception in late October, early November. 4 months into the affair, this baby was planned, or at least not prevented. I looked at Claire. She was at her dresser, taking off her jewelry. In the mirror, I could see her face. She looked tired, sad even. "Long day," she said to my reflection. I didn't answer. She turned around. "Nathan, are you okay? You've been weird since—" She stopped. Her eyes went to my jacket lying on the bed, to my hand resting on my pocket. "Since when?" I asked. My voice was quiet, steady. "Since you went to the garage." The room was too small suddenly, too close. "I found your cardigan," I said. She went very still. "The green one, on my workbench." "Nathan, you weren't wearing it at dinner. You were wearing gray. So you must have changed. After you and Cole were in the garage this afternoon." Her face lost all its color. "I found the pregnancy test," I continued. Same steady voice, like I was explaining a play to my team. "In the pocket, and Cole's key, and his sobriety chip on the floor." She opened her mouth, closed it. "And the iPad," I said, "with 4 months of messages, with his name saved as Cole, with a heart emoji, with you discussing me, planning when to meet, saying he makes you feel alive. Please." "Is the baby his?" Silence, long and terrible. Then, "I don't know." Those 3 words, "I don't know," meaning it could be, meaning she'd been with both of us, meaning she didn't know which man had fathered the child growing inside her. Something broke inside my chest, not my heart, something deeper, the foundation I'd built my entire adult life on. "How long?" I asked. "Nathan, please, let me explain." "How long?" "Since June." Her voice was small, childlike. "It started in June. After I asked you to help him, to counsel him, to be there for his recovery. It didn't start like that. We were just talking. He opened up to me about things he's never told anyone. His pain, his fears, and I was..." She stopped. "You were what?" "I was lonely, Nathan." Her voice hardened, got defensive. "You're never here. You're always at school or practice or games or film sessions. I'm alone in this house, and Cole needed me. He needed someone to see him, to understand him. Someone who..." "Don't." I stood up. "Don't you dare make this about me working too much. Don't you dare justify betraying me with my brother by saying I wasn't paying enough attention to you." "I'm not justifying..." "Yes, you are. That's exactly what you're doing." I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I'd taken of her iPad messages, started reading. "July 3rd. Your brother is working late again. He doesn't even notice when I'm gone. July 18th. Nathan doesn't understand me the way you do. August 2nd. He's too busy with football to see what I need." I looked up at her. You discussed me with him. You made me the villain in your story so you could justify this. He needed me, Nathan. She was crying now. Cole needed me. He was struggling with his sobriety and his identity, and you were so busy being proud of him for staying clean that you never saw he was falling apart inside. I did. I saw him. And yes, I helped him. And yes, it became more. But family takes care of family, right? Isn't that what you always say? There it was. My own words, thrown back at me like a weapon. Family takes care of family, I repeated. That's your excuse for sleeping with my brother, for getting pregnant and not knowing whose baby it is? That you were taking care of family? You don't understand. Where were you taking care of Dylan? My voice rose. I couldn't control it anymore. Where were you taking care of me? Where were you taking care of this marriage while you were taking care of Cole? She had no answer. I walked to the door, my hand on the knob. Nathan, please don't leave. We can work through this. Tomorrow, I said, not turning around, we have your parents' 50th anniversary party. 80 people, a church service, a reception, and I'm giving a speech about 50 years of faithful marriage. Nathan, so here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, you're going to smile. You're going to play the loving daughter, the devoted wife. You're going to stand next to me and hold my hand while your mother cries happy tears about commitment and fidelity and choosing each other. I opened the door. And Monday, I said, we're going to talk about divorce lawyers, about custody, about what happens when you destroy a family. I walked out, went downstairs, grabbed my keys. I needed to see Cole. His apartment was 10 minutes away. The apartment I pay for, $950 a month, utilities included. I'd been so proud of him when he moved in 3 years ago, fresh out of rehab, 3 months sober. He'd stood in that empty living room and cried and said, I won't let you down, Nathan, I swear. I knocked, hard. He opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, saw me, froze. We need to talk, I said. He stepped back. Let me in. The apartment was neat, clean. Cole had always been messy as a kid, but sobriety had changed him, or I thought it had. You know, he said, not a question. I know. He sat down on his couch, put his head in his hands. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, I'm sorry. You're sorry. I never meant... You never meant what, Cole? To fall into my wife's bed, to father a child with her, to betray me in the house I've let you into 3-4 times a week, in my garage while I was at work teaching Dylan's classmates. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I pulled the sobriety chip from my pocket, the one I'd taken from the garage, threw it at him. It hit his chest, fell to the floor. I gave you that 2 months ago, celebrated 3 years of sobriety with you, and you were already sleeping with my wife. He picked up the chip, held it like it burned him. You don't understand, he said. His voice cracked. You've never understood me, Nathan. Not really. You were always the good one, the responsible one, the one who had his life together, and I was the screw-up, the addict, the burden you had to carry because Mom died. Cole... Claire told me the truth. She told me you never really loved me, that you just felt obligated after Mom died, that taking care of me was your duty, not your choice. The words hit like a punch. She said that? She said you talk about me like I'm a project, a thing to fix, not a brother, not a person. He looked up at me. His eyes were red. She's the first person who's ever really seen me, Nathan. Not my addiction, not my mistakes, me. I stared at him, at this man I'd raised, this boy I'd bailed out and driven to rehab and sat with in hospital rooms, this person I'd loved and protected and enabled for 20 years. Did you ever ask yourself, I said slowly, why Claire would tell you those things, why she would poison you against me? He blinked. Because she was justifying it to herself, Cole. She was making me the villain in her story so she could do what she wanted to do. And you let her, you believed her, you helped her rewrite history. That's not... Did you ever think about Dylan? I asked, about my son, about what this would do to him when he found out his uncle, the uncle he worships, was sleeping with his mother. Cole's face crumpled. Did you think about me? My voice broke. Your brother, the person who raised you when I was barely more than a kid myself, who chose you over college, over my own life because I loved you. Nathan, please. You used your sobriety as a cover. You let me pay for your apartment so you'd have a place to take my wife. You came into my home, ate at my table, played with my son, all while you were destroying everything I've built. I love her, he said, quiet, broken. You love her. I do. I know you don't believe me, but I do. And she loves me. She told me she's been unhappy for years, that you're never really there, that you care more about your players than your family, that... Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. You don't get to repeat her lies to me. You don't get to justify this by saying I wasn't perfect. Silence. I'm not paying your rent anymore, I said. I'm not paying for anything. You're 30 years old, Cole. You're sober. Figure it out. Nathan... And stay away from my son. Stay away from my house. Stay away from me. I walked to the door. My hand was shaking as I reached for the knob. I never wanted to hurt you, Cole said behind me. I turned around, looked at him, at his face, at the face that looked so much like our mother's. But you did, I said. You hurt me. You destroyed me. And you did it in my own garage while I was teaching kids about loyalty and brotherhood and choosing to do the right thing even when it's hard. I left, closed the door behind me, sat in my truck in his parking lot and gripped the steering wheel until my hands stopped shaking. Sunday, the anniversary party, I got through it. I don't know how, but I did. The church service. Father Timothy preaching about covenant and faithfulness. Patty and Michael renewing their vows. 50 years, half a century of choosing each other. Dylan sat between me and Claire, held both our hands. The reception at the church hall, 80-plus people, food and wine and speeches, Claire's siblings talking about their parents' love story, how they'd met in high school, how they'd stayed together through deployments and job losses and raising 4 kids. True love, Jessica said, voice thick with emotion, doesn't give up. And then it was my turn. Claire's family had asked me weeks ago to say something. I'd written a speech, 3 pages, about partnership and commitment and growing old together. I stood up, looked at Claire, at Cole sitting 3 tables away, avoiding my eyes, at Dylan smiling at me with pride, at Patty and Michael holding hands, faces glowing. 50 years, I said. My voice was steady, the coach voice. That's 18,250 days of choosing each other, 18,250 opportunities to walk away, to give up, to choose something easier. I held up the anniversary invitation, gold foil. 50 years of love. But you didn't, I continued. You chose each other, even when it was hard, even when temptation came, even when you were tired or angry or hurt. You chose to stay. You chose fidelity. You chose loyalty. My hand found my chest. The whistle under my dress shirt. I touched it 4 times during the speech. Grounding. That's what love is, I said. Not feelings, not butterflies. Love is choosing. Every single day, choosing to honor your promises, choosing to protect what you've built, choosing to be faithful even when someone easier comes along. Claire was crying. People probably thought it was beautiful, that she was moved. Only I could see. She was crying because she knew this speech was my goodbye. To Patty and Michael, I raised my glass. To 50 years, to choosing each other, to real love. Everyone raised their glasses. The sound of glass chiming echoed through the hall. I drank. The wine burned going down. After the toast, Claire tried to pull me aside. Nathan, that was beautiful. Not now, I said. Not here. When? Tomorrow, Monday, after I figure out how to tell our son that his family is broken. Monday came too fast. I woke up at 5, couldn't sleep, went to my office in the house, the small room where I keep football playbooks and student essays to grade. I needed to find documentation. For the lawyer I'd looked up last night, evidence, timeline. That's when I found it, Dylan's journal. It had fallen behind my desk, must have been there for weeks. A worn composition notebook, black and white cover. I picked it up, knew I shouldn't read it, but I opened it anyway. The entries were dated, his handwriting, messy like mine at that age. I flipped through, school stuff, football plays, girl drama. Then I found it, November 2nd, 2 weeks ago. Saw Uncle Cole leaving the garage at 11 p.m. when Dad was at the away game. Asked Mom about it this morning. She said he was helping fix the water heater, but why was she crying? Her eyes were all red. Should I tell Dad? Don't know. Big game on Friday and Grandma's party this weekend. Don't want to ruin things. I can wait. Family takes care of family. The page blurred. I read it again. My 13-year-old son. My boy. He'd seen them. He'd noticed his mother crying. He'd suspected something was wrong. And he'd decided to protect me. To wait. To not ruin the big game or the anniversary party. He'd learned that phrase from me. Family takes care of family. I'd taught him to enable. To keep peace at all costs. To carry burdens that weren't his. I flipped back further. October 26th. Uncle Cole's been coming over a lot lately, like almost every day. Mom seems happier when he's here. Dad's always at practice or games. Sometimes I wonder if Dad notices. Probably not. He's got a lot on his mind with playoffs coming up. October 15th. Caught Uncle Cole and Mom in the garage today after school. They looked surprised to see me. Mom said they were planning a surprise for Dad's birthday, even though it's not until March. Uncle Cole gave me $20 to keep the surprise secret. I feel weird about it, but okay. He'd been bribed. They'd paid my son to stay quiet. October 1st. Uncle Cole stayed for dinner again. He and Mom laughed a lot. Dad fell asleep on the couch after dinner. He's been really tired lately. Uncle Cole helped Mom clean up the kitchen. They were in there for a long time. When I went to get water, they were standing really close. Mom's hand was on Uncle Cole's arm. They moved apart when they saw me. My son. Watching this, processing this, trying to make sense of it. I flipped to the most recent entry. Yesterday, Sunday, after the anniversary party. Something's wrong with Dad. He gave that speech about choosing each other and he looked like he was going to cry. Mom was crying. Uncle Cole wasn't at the after-party thing at Grandma's house. Dad keeps touching his whistle. He does that when he's stressed before big games. I think something happened. I think maybe Dad knows about Mom and Uncle Cole. I think maybe I should have said something. But family takes care of family, right? Maybe I should have taken care of Dad better. I don't know anymore. I'm confused. The notebook fell from my hands. My son, my innocent boy, 13 years old. He'd been carrying this, protecting all of us, blaming himself. If you've ever discovered your child was protecting you and you should have been protecting them, if you've ever realized your kid was carrying weight they shouldn't have to carry, you know this feeling. This crushing guilt, this understanding that you failed the one person you were supposed to keep safe. I sat on the floor of my office, Dylan's journal in my lap, and I let myself break. Monday afternoon, football practice. I had to be there, had to coach, 40 teenage boys counting on me. I ran them through drills, conditioning, plays for Friday's game. My voice was automatic. Faster. Again. Focus. One of the kids, Marcus, a junior linebacker, asked during water break, "Coach, what makes someone a team player?" I opened my mouth to answer, to give him the speech I'd given 100 times before. "Loyalty?" I started. "Being there for your..." My voice cracked. All 40 boys stopped, stared. "Loyalty," I tried again. I couldn't. I blew my whistle too hard, too long. The sound was shrill, painful. "Run laps," I said. 5 laps, go." They went, confused, worried. I walked to the equipment room, locked the door behind me, and then I broke. I sat on the floor between the tackling dummies and spare helmets. And I cried like I hadn't cried since my mother's funeral. The funeral where I'd promised to take care of Cole. Where I'd been 18 years old and terrified and sure that if I just loved him enough, worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, I could save him. I'd spent 20 years keeping that promise. 20 years putting him first, bailing him out, paying his bills, enabling his dysfunction because I called it love. And it had destroyed my family. I'd been so busy saving Cole that I hadn't protected my wife from becoming someone who would betray me. I'd been so busy being proud of his sobriety that I hadn't seen him becoming someone who would take what wasn't his. I'd been so busy trying to be the perfect father to my brother that I'd failed to be present as a husband and father to my own family. And now Dylan, my son, my boy, had journal entries about watching it happen, about being confused, about trying to protect me when I should have been protecting him. I cried until I couldn't breathe, until my chest hurt, until the whistle around my neck felt like it was choking me, and then I sat in the silence, in the smell of sweat and grass and old leather, in the place where I'd spent 15 years teaching kids about integrity and loyalty and doing the right thing even when it costs you. I pulled out my phone, called the lawyer. "I need an appointment," I said, "today, if possible." Because I couldn't keep this secret anymore, couldn't perform, couldn't pretend. I had to protect Dylan, even if it meant burning everything else down. That was real family, not enabling, not keeping peace at all costs. Real family meant choosing your child over your comfort, your truth over their lies. I wiped my face, stood up, unlocked the door, blew my whistle 3 times. The boys came running in from their laps. "Good work today," I said. My voice was rough. They could tell I'd been crying, but they didn't say anything. "Hit the showers. Friday we play like champions. Got it?" "Yes, coach." They filed past me. Some of them looked at me with concern. Good kids. I'd taught them well. Marcus stopped. "You okay, Coach Wade?" I looked at him, 17 years old, his whole life ahead of him. "Yeah, Marcus," I said, "I will be." Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., I sat across from a divorce attorney named Sarah Mitchell, 40-something, sharp eyes. She'd come recommended by another teacher whose marriage had ended badly. I'd brought everything, printouts of the text messages, screenshots I'd taken Sunday night after Claire fell asleep. The security panel access log from the garage showing 31 entries by Cole over 3 months. I'd printed it Monday night, dates, times, May 18th through November 16th. A pattern, systematic, the pregnancy test. Still in the plastic bag I'd put it in, evidence preserved, the ultrasound photo, Baby Wade in Claire's handwriting, Dylan's journal. That one hurt to hand over, but she needed to see it. Sarah read through everything, methodical, taking notes. Her face didn't change. When she finished, she looked up at me. "This is substantial," she said. "The timeline is clear. The evidence is documented, and the ethical violation..." "What ethical violation?" "Your wife is a licensed therapist, correct? Specializing in addiction counseling." "Yes." "And she began a sexual relationship with your brother while she was counseling him for his recovery, while she was in a professional helping role with a vulnerable individual who happens to be her husband's family member." I hadn't thought about it that way. "That's a serious boundary violation," Sarah continued, "the kind that licensing boards take very seriously. It doesn't matter that she wasn't his official therapist. She presented herself as a therapeutic support person. She used that role to develop an inappropriate relationship. Could she lose her license? Possibly. At minimum, she'd face sanctions. A formal complaint would trigger an investigation. She paused. "But that's your choice to make." I thought about Claire, about her practice, the clients she saw, teenagers struggling with addiction, adults trying to rebuild their lives. Then I thought about Dylan, about his journal entry, about him being bribed to keep secrets. "What about custody?" I asked. "With this evidence?" You'd likely get primary custody. She hasn't been abusive, but the instability, the poor judgment, the involvement of your son in the deception, a judge would see that. And financially? North Carolina is an equitable distribution state, but we have an alienation of affection law, and adultery impacts alimony significantly. Given your evidence, she'd be in a very weak position. Sarah leaned forward. Mr. Wade, I need you to understand something. What you're describing, filing for divorce with this evidence, seeking primary custody, potentially filing an ethics complaint, this is scorched earth. This will be painful, public. Your community will know, your school, your church. I understand. Are you sure? Because once we file, there's no taking it back. I looked at the evidence spread across her desk, at Dylan's journal with his messy handwriting, at the text messages, at Claire's ultrasound labeled Baby Wade when she didn't even know which Wade had fathered it. I have a son, I said, and 13 years old. He's been watching this happen, trying to protect everyone, learning that love means enabling people who hurt you, learning that family means keeping secrets that destroy you. I met Sarah's eyes. I need him to learn different. I need him to see that real love has boundaries, that real family doesn't betray you, that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. She nodded slowly. Then we file. Today. Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock. I picked Dylan up from football practice. He climbed into the truck, still in his pads, smelling like sweat and grass. My son. My boy. Hey, Dad. Coach Harrison said you called out Monday. You feeling okay? Yeah, bud. Just needed to handle some things. We drove in silence for a minute. Then I said, Dylan, I need you to come with me somewhere. Where? To see Father Timothy. Dylan looked at me. At church? Is something wrong? Everything. Everything is wrong. We need to talk, buddy, and I want Father Tim there, someone you trust. His face went pale. Dad, you're scaring me. I know, I'm sorry, but I promise nothing bad is going to happen to you, okay? You're safe. You're loved. This isn't about anything you did. We drove to the church. Father Timothy was waiting in his office. 60 years old, kind eyes. He'd married Claire and me 16 years ago, baptized Dylan as a baby. Dylan sat in one of the chairs. I sat next to him, Father Tim across from us. Dylan, I started, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be hard to hear, but I need you to know the truth because you deserve that. You deserve honesty. His hands were shaking, 13 years old, too young for this, but I couldn't protect him from it anymore. Mom and Uncle Cole, I said slowly, have been having a relationship, a romantic relationship, for several months. Silence. Dylan just stared at me. What? His voice was small. They've been together as more than friends. They betrayed our family. They betrayed your trust and my trust. No. He shook his head. No, that's not true. Uncle Cole wouldn't, Mom wouldn't. Dylan, I found evidence, messages, proof. I know this is hard to... You're lying. He stood up, tears streaming down his face. You're lying. Why would you say that? Why would you... Because it's true, buddy. And because Mom is pregnant, and we don't know if the baby is mine or Uncle Cole's. Dylan made a sound, not quite a word, more like something breaking. He sat back down. His whole body was shaking. I saw your journal, I said quietly. I found it behind my desk. I know you've been noticing things. I know you've been trying to protect everyone. The entries about seeing Uncle Cole in the garage, about Mom crying, about feeling confused. You read my journal. His voice was thick, accusatory. I did, and I'm sorry. But Dylan, you shouldn't have been carrying that. You shouldn't have been trying to fix this or protect us. That's not your job. Did I... His voice broke. Did I cause this? By not telling you sooner? If I'd said something, could you have... No. I grabbed his shoulders, looked him in the eyes. No, Dylan, this is not your fault. Not even a little bit. Mom and Uncle Cole made these choices. Adults made these choices. You're 13. You're a kid. You did nothing wrong. He collapsed forward into my arms, sobbing, the kind of crying that shakes your whole body. I held him, my son, my boy, and I let him cry. Father Timothy sat quietly, a witness, a steady presence. When Dylan could breathe again, he pulled back. What happens now? Mom and I are getting divorced. I've already filed the paperwork. You'll live with me primarily. You'll still see Mom. She's still your mother. She loves you. She made very bad choices. What about Uncle Cole? Uncle Cole won't be around anymore. He's not safe for you to be around right now. But he's my uncle. He's your blood uncle, I said. That won't change. But Dylan, family isn't just about blood. Family is about who shows up for you, who protects you, who chooses you. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, does this mean Uncle Cole isn't my uncle anymore? The question I'd been dreading. I looked at Father Timothy. He nodded slightly, encouraging. Uncle Cole will always be your blood, I said. But being family is about more than blood, Dylan. It's about trust, respect, love that doesn't hurt. Uncle Cole broke all of those things. But you always said family takes care of family. There it was, my own words, coming back to haunt me. I did say that, I admitted, and I was wrong. Or I wasn't wrong, but I didn't understand what it meant. Real family takes care of each other without destroying boundaries. We don't enable people who hurt us and call it love. We don't sacrifice ourselves and call it loyalty. Dylan wiped his eyes. I don't understand. You will, I said. I'll teach you. I'll show you. And Dylan? I squeezed his shoulder. The baby, your little brother or sister, they're innocent. This isn't their fault either. They'll be part of your life if you want them to be. Family gets complicated sometimes, but we figure it out. He nodded, still crying, but calmer now. There's something else I need you to know, I said. I'm proud of you. So proud. You've been strong and brave, and you've tried to protect everyone. That shows your heart. But from now on, I protect you. Got it? That's my job, not yours. Like you do, Dad, he said, voice shaking. Always. Those 5 words. They broke my heart and healed it at the same time. Father Timothy leaned forward. Dylan, your dad is showing you what real strength looks like. It's not pretending everything's fine. It's not keeping secrets. Real strength is facing hard truths, speaking them out loud, and choosing to do what's right, even when it costs you everything. Dylan looked at me. It's costing you everything, isn't it? Mom, Uncle Cole, the family. No, I said. It's costing me some things. But I'm keeping the most important thing. I'm keeping you. And I'm keeping my integrity. Those are worth more than a fake family built on lies. That night, I called my father, Marcus Wade, 62, living in Florida with his second wife. I hadn't talked to him much since he remarried 5 years ago. Nathan, everything okay? His voice was gravelly, concerned. No, Dad, everything's not okay. I told him all of it. Claire, Cole, the baby, Dylan's journal, the divorce. The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought we'd been disconnected. Then I heard it. My father crying, Dad, I'm so sorry. His voice was wrecked. Nathan, I'm so sorry. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. He was really crying now. I asked you to take care of Cole when you were just 18 years old. You were a boy, a kid. And I put the weight of your brother on your shoulders because I couldn't carry it myself. Dad, you were supposed to go to college. You had a football scholarship. You had plans. And I called you the day after your mother's funeral, and I said, Nathan, Cole needs you. He can't come live with me and Karen. You're his big brother. You have to step up. Do you remember that? I did. I remembered standing in our old house, Mom's clothes still in the closet, her coffee cup still in the sink, 18 years old, terrified. I remember. I made you responsible for someone who was my responsibility, Marcus said. I made you a parent to your brother when you were barely more than a child yourself. I did this to you, Nathan. I created this. You didn't make Cole sleep with my wife. No, but I taught Cole that someone would always bail him out, always fix his problems. I taught him that actions don't have consequences if family loves you enough. And I taught you that love means sacrificing everything, even yourself. The words hit hard. True. Dad, I don't blame you. You should. He took a shaky breath. But whether you do or not, I need you to hear this. You're twice the father I ever was. You chose to protect your son over keeping the peace. You chose truth over comfort. That's real love, Nathan. Not enabling, love. My hand found my chest, the whistle, gripped it. Dad, I've been drowning, I said, quiet. For 20 years, under the weight of raising Cole, of being responsible for him, of thinking that if I just loved him enough, worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, I could save him. I know, son. I know. And I'm telling you right now, you can put it down. That weight was never yours to carry. Cole's choices are his. His addiction was his. His recovery is his. And his betrayal is his. None of that is on you. Something loosened in my chest. Something I'd been holding for 2 decades. I gave you permission to let go, Marcus said. You're free, Nathan. You always were. I just never told you. We talked for another hour. About Cole. About Dylan. About how to move forward. When we hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. Wednesday, I drove to Patty and Michael's house, Claire's parents, my in-laws for 16 years, the people who'd toasted fidelity at their anniversary party 3 days ago. They needed to hear it from me before they heard it from Claire. Patty answered the door, still glowing from the anniversary celebration. Nathan, come in, come in. Michael's in the den. We were just looking at photos from the party. I sat down. Michael looked up from the photo album. Former Marine. Still had that commanding presence even at 73. Patty, Michael, I need to tell you something. Patty's smile faded. She sat down slowly. What's wrong? Claire and I are getting divorced. I filed papers yesterday. Patty gasped, hand to her mouth. What? No! Nathan, you're perfect together. Whatever it is, you can work through it. Marriage is about... Claire's been having an affair, I said. Steady voice. Facts. With my brother Cole, for at least 4 months, possibly longer. She's pregnant and doesn't know if the baby is mine or his. Silence. Complete, total silence. Michael's face went through several emotions. Shock, disbelief, then rage, pure military rage. No, Patty said, shaking her head. No, that's not. My Claire wouldn't. You're mistaken. You must be... I pulled out my phone, showed them screenshots of the text messages. Just a few. Enough. Patty read them. Her face crumbled. I have more evidence if you need it, I said quietly. Security footage. Dylan's journal entries about noticing things, but I don't think you want to see more. Cole? Michael's voice was dangerous, low. Your brother, the one you've been supporting, the addict? He's 3 years sober, but yes. I'll kill him. Michael stood up. I will drive to his apartment right now and... Michael, no. I stood too. That's not what I need. That's not what Dylan needs. Dylan. Patty's face lost all its color. Oh God, Dylan knows? I told him yesterday. With Father Timothy present, he's hurting, but he'll be okay. He's staying with me. Patty started crying, really crying. I don't understand. I raised her better than this. I taught her marriage was sacred. I taught her... She looked up at me. Your speech at the anniversary. You knew. You knew when you gave that speech about choosing each other. I found out Saturday night. And you still stood up there and she couldn't finish. I did it for you, I said. I didn't want to ruin your anniversary, your 50 years. You deserve that celebration. Michael sat back down, heavily, like his legs wouldn't hold him. What kind of father am I? I raised a daughter who would do this. This isn't about you, I said. Either of you. Claire made adult choices. She's responsible. But Patty stood up, walked to me, put her hands on my face. I'm so sorry. Nathan, I'm so sorry. You've been nothing but good to our family. You've been a wonderful husband and father and son-in-law. You didn't deserve this. No one deserves this, I said. The front door opened. Jessica walked in, Claire's older sister. Saw us. Saw Patty crying. What's going on? Michael told her. Blunt, military-style delivery. Facts. Jessica's face went through the same progression. Shock, disbelief. Then something else. Something that looked like guilt. You knew, I said, didn't you? No, not exactly, I suspected. I saw them at the restaurant in September, my restaurant. They were at a corner table, too close, laughing. And I thought maybe I was imagining things, so I didn't say anything. Jessica, Patty said, voice sharp, I'm sorry. I didn't know for sure. And I thought maybe I was reading too much into it. I didn't want to cause problems if I was wrong. You should have told me, I said, not angry, just sad. You should have said something. I know. I'm sorry, Nathan. I'm so sorry. Michael stood again, walked to me, extended his hand. I took it. He pulled me into a hug. Hard. The kind of hug that says more than words. You're still my son, he said, voice rough. Blood or not, divorce or not, your family, and we... He looked at Patty. We choose you. Patty nodded, crying. We choose you, Nathan. The next weeks were a blur. The paternity test came back. Claire's lawyer requested it. I agreed. 99.7% probability, Cole Andrew Wade. Father, I stared at that number. So close to 100%, the baby would carry the Wade name. Just the wrong Wade DNA. I put the test results in a folder, closed it. Some doors don't need to stay open. Claire's therapy board received a complaint. I didn't file it. Someone else did. Maybe Jessica. Maybe someone from church who'd heard. Small towns talk. The board launched an investigation. Claire had to appear before them. Explain the relationship. The timeline. How she'd counseled her husband's brother while developing romantic feelings. She didn't lose her license, but she got a formal reprimand. 6 months of supervised practice, ethics training. Some clients left. Word spread fast. Cole spiraled. I heard it through Marcus, who heard it from Cole's old sponsor. He started drinking again. 2 weeks after our confrontation. 3 years of sobriety gone. He moved to Charlotte, got a job washing dishes at some restaurant, stopped answering my father's calls. Part of me ached for him. 20 years of conditioning doesn't disappear overnight, but I didn't reach out, didn't offer to help, didn't enable. That was progress. Thanksgiving was canceled, obviously. Claire moved back in with Patty and Michael temporarily. They were furious with her, but they're her parents. They helped. The divorce proceedings started. Claire didn't contest custody. She knew she couldn't win. Dylan stayed with me, saw her on weekends. Christmas was quiet, just Dylan and me. We ordered Chinese food, watched old movies. It wasn't what either of us wanted, but it was honest. In January, Claire's supervisor from the therapy board called me, asked if I would give a statement about the boundary violation, the timeline, the impact on our son. I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time. Claire had already been sanctioned. Was this revenge or accountability? I thought about Dylan, about all the kids Claire counseled, teenagers struggling with addiction, people in crisis, vulnerable, looking for help. Did they need to know their counselor had such poor boundaries, such poor judgment, or was the reprimand enough? If you were in my position, what would you do? Would you give that statement, Hold her fully accountable for violating professional boundaries that exist to protect vulnerable people? Would you make sure the record showed exactly what happened? Or would you stay silent? Let her mistakes be punishment enough? Let her rebuild without your interference? I gave the statement, not for revenge, for accountability. Because boundaries matter, professional ethics matter, and people in recovery deserve counselors who won't exploit their vulnerability. There's a difference between vengeance and justice. I was learning to know that difference. 10 months later, September, Dylan's football team made it to the state championship. Starting quarterback, 13 years old, no, 14 now. Birthday was in August. I stood on the sideline as head coach. My whistle around my neck, my team, my son, we won 24-21. Dylan threw the winning touchdown with 32 seconds left. The crowd went insane, parents screaming, kids crying with joy. The whole Asheville community had shown up. Dylan ran to me after, sweaty, exhausted, grinning so wide his face might split. "We did it, Dad! We did it!" I hugged him, my son, my boy, stronger now, still healing, but stronger. Claire was there, in the stands, separate section. She came to games. We'd worked out a civil co-parenting relationship. It wasn't easy, but we managed. The baby had been born in July, a boy. She'd named him Matthew, Cole's father's name. I'd seen him once, at the hospital. Dylan had wanted to meet his half-brother, so we'd gone. The baby looked like Cole. Dark hair, small nose, our mother's eyes. I'd held him for maybe 30 seconds, felt his weight, his warmth. This innocent child caught in adult chaos. "He's beautiful," I'd told Claire, and then I'd left. Because that baby wasn't mine to raise, wasn't mine to save. My job was Dylan and myself, and learning what healthy love actually looked like. Dylan had a relationship with Matthew now. Went to Claire's apartment every other weekend, held his baby brother, played with him, sent me photos. "He grabbed my finger today, Dad. It was so cool." And I'd smiled, because Dylan was learning something I'd never learned. That you can love people without being destroyed by them. That family can be complicated and messy and still be okay. Patty and Michael sat with me at the championship game in the family section. Their daughter's section was 10 rows away, but they'd chosen to sit with me. "You've done a good job with him," Michael said, gruff. "Dylan's a good kid. He is. And you're doing okay?" "Yeah," I said, and meant it. "I am." After the game, after the trophy presentation, after the team celebration, the stadium emptied out. Dylan and I stayed, sitting in the bleachers, looking at the field, at the scoreboard still showing our win. "Dad," Dylan said, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "Matthew, my little brother, do you think he'll be okay? Even though his dad, even though Uncle Cole isn't around?" I thought about that, about Cole in Charlotte, drinking alone, about Claire raising Matthew with Patty and Michael's help, about this baby who'd be told someday about his origins. "Yeah," I said, "I think he'll be okay. Your mom loves him, your grandparents love him, and he's got you. You're a good big brother, Dylan. Even though we're only half-brothers? Brother is brother. Blood doesn't make it more or less real." Dylan nodded, quiet for a moment, then, "Dad, will I be okay, like when I grow up? Will I be able to trust people, to have a relationship that doesn't end up like yours and Mom's?" The question gutted me, because it was my fear too, that I damaged him, that watching this betrayal would poison his understanding of love. "You want to know what I think?" I asked. "Yeah. I think you're already better than me. You know why?" "Why?" "Because you've learned something I didn't learn until I was 38. You've learned that love has boundaries, that family means choosing people who choose you back, that taking care of someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you." I looked at him, at his face, at the young man he was becoming. I taught you the wrong thing when you were little, I said. I taught you that family takes care of family, and I made it sound like that meant accepting anything, forgiving anything, sacrificing everything. But that's not what it means? No. Real family takes care of each other without destroying boundaries. We take care of your little brother, Matthew, because he's innocent. We're kind to him. We help him. But we don't take care of people who betray us and call it love. We don't enable destruction and call it loyalty. Dylan was quiet, processing. Does that make sense? I asked. Yeah, he said slowly. Yeah, it does. You're going to be fine, Dylan. Better than fine. You're going to be great. Because you've seen what unhealthy love looks like. You know what warning signs look like. And when you meet someone someday, you'll know to look for someone who respects you, who's honest, who doesn't make you carry secrets. Like you teach loyalty by showing it, Dylan said. That's what I wrote in my college essay for the applications. You're applying to colleges? He was 14, but planning ahead, like me. Not yet, but Coach Harrison said I should start thinking about it, football scholarships and stuff. He grinned. I want to be like you, Dad, coach, teacher, someone kids can trust. My throat closed up. You already are, buddy. We sat in comfortable silence, father and son, the stadium empty except for us. Hey, Dad? Yeah? Can I have your whistle? When I'm older? When I'm a coach? I looked down at the Fox 40 hanging around my neck, battered, dented, the lanyard frayed. This whistle had been with me through 15 years of coaching, through the hardest year of my life, through breaking down and building back up. You know what? I reached into my gym bag, pulled out a new whistle, identical. I'd bought it last week, just in case. You can have this one now. Start building your own history with it. When you're a coach, when you're teaching kids about integrity and loyalty and how to be good humans, you'll have your own whistle, your own story. Dylan took it, put it around his neck, looked down at it like it was treasure. Thanks, Dad. We walked off the field together, father and son, both wearing whistles now, both coaches in different ways. Behind us, in the school trophy case, visible through the stadium windows, Dylan's jersey hung. Number 12, State Champions. The plaque underneath read, dedicated to Coach Nathan Wade, integrity over everything. The same words I'd taught my players for 15 years. The same words I'd finally learned to live myself. Not by preaching, not by being perfect, but by choosing truth over comfort, boundaries over enabling, my son over a fake family built on lies. I looked at Dylan. He was texting someone, probably a girl, definitely a girl, smiling at his phone. Who's that? I asked. Madison, from my English class. She nice? Yeah, really nice. She's honest, you know. Like, doesn't play games. I like that. I smiled. Good, that's good, Dylan. You taught me that, he said, and to look for that. Honesty. You're a quick learner. We got in the truck, drove home through Asheville's streets, past the church where Patty and Michael had celebrated 50 years, past the neighborhood where Cole's apartment used to be, past Claire's new place where she lived with Matthew, past all of it, toward home, toward the life we were rebuilding, toward the future. Dylan fell asleep in the passenger seat, whistle around his neck, trophy in his lap, my son, my boy. And I realized something. I didn't lose my family. I saved it by letting go of the parts that were destroying it, by choosing truth over peace, by teaching my son that real love has boundaries, by learning, finally, that you can't love people more than they love themselves, or more than you love yourself. Nathan and Dylan redefined what family means. Not who you're born to, but who shows up, who chooses you, who protects you. If you've built your own chosen family, people who aren't blood but might as well be, tell me about them in the comments. I'd love to hear those stories. And if this story moved you, subscribe. I tell stories about boundaries, betrayal, and the courage to choose yourself. I'll see you in the next one.